Hi everyone, welcome back to Eclectic. Hello. Today I'm answering another question. What happens when they get married and why targets of abuse see this change in their behavior? This is when we talk about the mask slipping. It depends on the type of narcissism that we're talking about. So when it's usually classic narcissism, the overt classic type, which is the one that is always, I'm the best, look at me, I need validation. And yeah, that one usually they move very fast and they want to get married fast, and they do everything super quick and they want everything to be right now. And yeah, so there's the love bombing stage, and it's like a whirlwind where everything happens and so great and da, 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 and that's the typical overt. But when they're more psychopathic, it can be a longer period of time until they get married, or maybe they use that as an excuse for the victim to keep waiting, more narcissistic supply, and the victim waits for the promised thing. It could be kids, family, moving to a different country. It could be any of those things. And so they use that, like the dangling carrot ahead of you, so that you can wait and wait and wait. And that's narcissistic supply for them, narcissistic supply. Yeah, so it's different. What I mean is it's different depending on the type of narcissism. So narcissism, it exists on a continuum where it's more psychopathic, more covert, more psychopathic. That's when it takes usually decades sometimes, we're talking about decades. When it's more overt, I think it's more quick and yeah, let's do this, because they're more impulsive, right? But when it's more psychopathic and more covert, this involves planning, right? So sometimes we're talking about a house, or they want to get, or some type of pension, or they want, there's a plan behind that, or getting the money from an inheritance, or things like that. And the question was about what happens when they get married and then their behaviors change, right? They start changing completely. I would say that type of narcissism is more overt, although overt can have covert narcissism in them as well. They can come up as covert narcissists sometimes, and coverts come up as overt sometimes. It depends, but they all have a tendency that is more notorious. So in her case, because I'm reading from, understanding her question, what I see is that this was more overt, of the overt type. And she said that when she got married, the narcissist just changed completely. So we talk about the mask slipping, because you start seeing behaviors that don't match what you thought that person was, which, what you thought that person was during the idealization phase, right? The love bombing, where they are mirroring you. So that's when you're looking at yourself basically, because they are mirroring you. And so that's why you think, oh, this is a great person, like we have same interests and we think alike, and we do similar things. And yeah, so that's the idealization phase where they mirror you. So then usually these types of narcissists get married very quickly, and so once they got you, they relax, because they think they have narcissistic supply forever and ever. So they start, you start seeing these behaviors. They try to isolate you, maybe they try to degrade you, to invalidate you, to criticize you, to gaslight. They lie, maybe they cheat, they can become violent sometimes, and that's very surprising for the victim that is there, that okay, this is not the person I married, right? So that's when the mask slips, and this changes according to the type of narcissism. So if we talk about the more covert type, when I continue, we'll go to this side of the line, where the more covert narcissist is. That's when the times are different. Like, for example, you can have long marriages. Usually the covert passive aggressive, we talk about decades of marriage, and time is different. Like they spend a lot of time planning, doing things, right? This is very surprising because you don't know. No, if you're there, you don't know. So you start seeing little by little. Like it's not like the mask drops. The mask moves a little. You start seeing things that, okay, but this doesn't make sense, and you're very, very confused. Very, very confusing to be with a covert narcissist, and it takes more time for the mask to drop, I'd say. And it's very covert, actually, and yeah, it's not clear to the victim or to the target of abuse. And what is very clear is that they are 100% confused, and they're in the fog, completely fear, obligation, and guilt. They're very confused and trauma bonded, and it's difficult. And yet they show some of their true colors, right? And as we progress along a marriage, for example, like that, 20 years, you see a lot of changes. But if you think about this very objectively, you will see that there were red flags at the beginning, right? You saw red flags at the beginning, but you chose to justify them. That's when the mask slips. It's, you see behaviors that are very, very damaging, like the ones I mentioned: isolation, lying, passive aggression, a lot of passive aggression, disrespect. There's a lot of disrespect. And then this can turn into physical violence sometimes. It's horrible. It's nothing good. So yeah, that's why this happens. It's because they feel they have the narcissistic supply that they wanted, and they relax, start behaving and showing their true colors, behaving the way they truly are, right? Yeah, so, well, that's my video for today. I hope you found it interesting. Let me know if you have any questions, write them down below, and I'll try to make a video about it. And thank you so much for being here. Subscribe as usual to this channel. Give me a like if you found this interesting, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.